Hi, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and we basically have two videos in one today. First of all, playoff teams are afraid of the Commanders is what it seems. We're going to dive into a lot of the national power rankings for the Washington Commanders and what they have to say about us. That's going to be the second half of the video. But for the first half, we got to talk about how the Washington Commanders signed a monster international offensive tackle to the practice squad. And also, Austin Ekeler is officially back practicing already as of today, Wednesday, January 1st. Happy New Year's to all of y'all. And you already know this video is sponsored by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. And before we get into everything, make sure you stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated videos just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Of course, again, I will keep y'all updated on everything Commanders on a daily basis. And then even when we get to this Cowboys game in which we're likely to sit some of our starters, I'm still going to have y'all updated and doing my live play-by-play analysis and everything like that, because we got to break down a lot of these backups as well, because some of these guys like Chris Rodriguez, we need to be evaluating them to see if they deserve more playing time going into the playoffs, but especially 2025 and beyond, because some of our starters right now not on contract going into the 2025 offseason. So that's definitely something to stay tuned with. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this video, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so like I already said, we're going to talk about Austin Ekeler and the monster offensive tackle that we signed in the first half of this video. Then we'll get to how NFL playoff teams, playoff contenders, actually seem to be a little bit worried about the Washington Commanders coming up. But first off, the Commanders have opened the 21-day practice window for running back Austin Ekeler and signed tackle Maximilian Percher to the practice squad. Now, I feel like we should go ahead and start with Austin Ekeler because that is some phenomenal news. And I've already talked about his situation, his injury situation, concussion, and all of that so many times these past couple of weeks. But really, long story short, I'm not expecting Ekeler to play in this upcoming game against the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday. Mostly because I'm assuming that we'll end up sitting a lot of our starters anyway. Like probably even by halftime, maybe some of our starters will be out there the first half, and then by halftime, maybe we'll have enough of a lead to where we just go ahead and rest everybody the second half. You'll more than likely see like Marcus Mariota out there starting at quarterback in the second half. But I also just don't think it's even worth it to rush Austin Ekeler back before the playoffs, especially against an opponent like the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Dan Quinn and this entire team clearly want this 6th seed really bad. Like Dan Quinn just said it a couple of days ago that they're going all in on this 6th seed and they understand the importance of having the 6th seed over the 7th seed. But I don't see the Cowboys giving up much of a challenge against us to where we even need to consider throwing people like Marshawn Lattimore or Austin Ekeler out there in that game. I mean, I know I said last game against the Dallas Cowboys that they should be an easy win, but this time, I mean, that boy Butler, who suddenly turned into Darrelle Revis against us, he's not even available. They won't have CeeDee Lamb, who literally carried their entire offense against us. He was getting the ball as a receiver and out of the backfield. How often have we seen CeeDee Lamb get the ball out of the backfield like that? I mean, they really put the offense on his back. He's not even available, and I would hope that they know not to kick the Turpin, the best kick returner in the NFL ever again. I mean, our special teams coverage has been elite this entire season, literally other than that one game and that very one play where we needed it to be the most. And I just feel like so many things went wrong in that game. There's just almost no way they go wrong in this upcoming game once again. I mean, even just the fact that that was the first game all season that an opposing defense countered our good pass blocking strategy of the Washington Commanders offensive line by moving their elite edge rusher into the inside basically as a defensive tackle through stunts, or it's just straight up just lining them up there before the ball is even snapped. I refuse to believe that the Cowboys can catch our offensive line and Cliff Kingsbury, our offensive coordinator, off guard with that again after they've already seen it once before. And then even on top of that, that was before Jaden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury even learned how to get the ball to Olamide Zaccheaus and Jamison Crowder on a consistent basis. And lastly, I also feel like the Cowboys are just mentally done. They have to be drained. You can't tell me these guys aren't drained. I mean, you already got Micah Parsons out here saying that if you take away the scoreboard, the game was actually really close. Like, that was just absolute nonsense. And then in all seriousness, I also feel like it's easier to recover from losing with one big win But then it has to be even way harder to recover from like a loss of hope after you just gained hope again. They went from, you know, the season's pretty much over, caught us lacking, you know what I'm saying? Then they caught a little bit of wind after that. And then once somebody steps on your hopes and dreams again, I feel like it's way harder to bounce back a second time. This probably is it for them. Like, they're probably already mentally into the off season by now. I always say, man, that extra push up, that extra lap that you would normally do because your team is contending for the playoffs, contending for games in January and things like that, maybe you'll put in that extra rep at the bench press. Like, man, it's worth it because it's gonna matter when we go out there and win this upcoming game. And we're playing meaningful games right now. But since their season is already over, they have to be extremely deflated from that loss, losing to a third string quarterback for the Eagles. I mean, at this point, they have to be out of it. Any hope that they had, any type of inspiration that they had when they played us last time, I highly doubt they have it this time. And also just feel like the Commanders have a little bit of extra motivation to make sure we do not get swept by the Dallas Cowboys on such a great season. This season has been so great, record-breaking in so many different ways for so many different players, so many different coaches, and we're going to the playoffs after only winning 4 games last season and everything. I feel like that little taint of getting swept by the Cowboys, I feel like that's enough. The fear in that is enough for them to try a little bit harder in this game than they probably even should. Also, take a look at these game preview picks. I just got to point out the fact that somehow Adam Rank still hates us, even to this point. Now, granted, he's not the only one doubting us this time. Like, there's been a few games this season where he's been the only person that has picked the opponent that the Washington Commanders were playing against. At least this time he has Gordon with him, but still, to just assume that the Washington Commanders will somehow lose this game to the Dallas Cowboys, I feel like that's more Adam Rank hate than any type of logic or X's and O's, any thought process that he's put behind that. He's hated us for years now, but then how we beat the Bears, his Bears, with that Hail Mary pass, oh yeah, he has it out for us even worse than he did before this season even started. So I don't expect Adam Rank to ever pick for us to win any game anytime soon, probably within the rest of our lifetimes. But moving on to the injury situation, Nikki Javala did let us know that a number of players were held out of the team's jog through today in the bubble. So they practice inside, not even outside like this. This was a very light practice for the team. And you can also tell by just how many people we rested. If you take a look on the screen right now, and I know it looks bad, you're seeing a lot of did not participate for the Wednesday practice, but a lot of them will rest. I mean, let's just go ahead and knock off the rest. You have Jonathan Allen, rest. Jamison Crowder, rest. Zach Ertz, rest. Cleveland Farrell, rest. Dante Fowler, rest. Terry McLaurin, rest. Even though I feel like that ankle injury actually is something that we maybe need to watch out for, but his was rest as well. The only players that like actually for real missed practice today, and it wasn't just because of rest, it was because it was Tyler Biadasz, who didn't play against the Falcons, De'Ami Brown, who didn't play against the Falcons. Then you have Marshawn Lattimore, didn't play against the Falcons either, so no surprise there. Cornelius Lucas, who got hurt during that Falcons game with a groin injury. Tyler Owens didn't play against the Falcons. Andrew Wiley is still banged up, did not play against the Falcons either. And remember, Tyler Biadasz was in there. He was in there early and then got hurt very early and missed most of the game. And then you have Jordan McGee, who was limited, dealing with a hamstring injury. He came out of the game, never went back in. And then Austin Ekeler, the only person on the entire injury report that practiced in full. I mean, you can make a case that maybe Austin Ekeler was one of our healthiest players in today's practice, which is actually crazy right now. And then Dan Quinn even talked about Austin Ekeler after the practice. He talked about Austin Ekeler having him back. He said, quote, "It's great to have him back. There's a spring in his step," unquote. That's really interesting. So apparently Austin Ekeler looks like he's really good to go. Not just kind of barely making it back. He's able to practice. We're rushing him because it's the playoffs coming up. No, it sounds like Austin Ekeler is actually full go, 100% himself. Of course, y'all know, man, I'm always prioritizing health and life outside of football, life after football. So if there were any signs of him having any sort of concussion issues, any mental issues or anything like that, I'm like, sit him for the rest of the year. That's what I said after he suffered the second concussion that he suffered against these Dallas Cowboys. That's crazy that he got hurt against the Dallas Cowboys, hasn't played since, and now he's getting back healthy right before that game. But again, I don't expect him to play. But man, I've always erred on the side of caution, especially when it comes to head injuries. But it sounds like from Dan Quinn and all of these guys, and even Austin Ekeler himself, and remember we just reported that yesterday, that apparently he's good to go. He's back like 100%, no worries at all, as if he never suffered a concussion before. Now, because he keeps suffering concussions on special teams and things like that, maybe they stop throwing him out there as a kick returner, even though without injuries, Austin Ekeler has been one of the best kick returners in the entire NFL this year, but it may not be worth it. We probably need him more so as a running back and as a receiving option for Jaden Daniels, and even a pass protector for Jaden Daniels as well, when Jaden Daniels is trying to throw the ball around, scan the field, and things like that. So he's probably too important for the offense to even put him at risk of getting hurt as a kick returner again. Remember, the last time he got hurt, which has held him out for these last like 5-6 weeks, he got hurt on like a last ditch, no hope at all kick return after, trying to hopefully try to win this game against the Dallas Cowboys, no time left on the clock, like a nearly 0.0001% chance of the play even succeeding. Like, it felt so pointless to even throw him out there before the play. Then the fact that he got hurt that bad and missed, consequently ended up missing like 5-6 weeks afterwards, it felt like the play was even more useless. It was just absolutely insane. It was just a crazy situation. I see why they tried it, but I mean, that sucks to lose a player in that situation. Love Austin Ekeler, but you may want to hold him out on kick returns. And then also, Dan Quinn said that Marshawn Lattimore will be doing some more rehab work on the side. It sounds like he's further away from returning than even Austin Ekeler is, just to let you know. Now, moving on, I think now is a good time to talk about the huge offensive lineman that we just signed, the offensive tackle Maximilian Percher. I mean, first of all, let's go ahead and get it out the way. He's 6'7", 325 pounds, and he's only 25 years old. Still very raw. I'm gonna go ahead and emphasize this to you right now. He's unplayable. There's no circumstance you should have to throw him out there at right or left tackle at this point in his NFL career. You cannot put him out there and trust that your quarterback will stay safe. He is a turnstile right now, but he's a guy that just came to America to start playing football for the first time in his life in 2021. So there's, again, only 25 years old. There's some potential here, but this is more of like a signing to see what we can get out of this guy for the future. We'll get there soon. But just to do his little background history, first of all, he's from Italy, and he's an offensive tackle now for the Washington Commanders, but he began his professional career with the Swarco Raiders in Australia in their league back in 2019. Then he made it onto the Rams roster back in 2021 through the International Pathway Program. You know, that program where we picked up like FL Bada and Samus Reyes, where they don't technically take up a roster spot. You're allowed to have like that 91st player during the offseason and things like that. That's how he made it into, that's like his first shot at the NFL. And then after that, even to take it back, he went to college in Germany, then played in Australia, then made it to the NFL through the Rams roster, then the Lions, then the Seahawks, and now us, but is yet to play a snap in an NFL game. This has been just an off-season signing type of guy to see where he's at on the practice squad and things like that. Nothing much more than that. Now I'm assuming that this signing also means that Andrew Wiley will more than likely sit out against the Cowboys. It's not worth it. Cornelius Lucas is also likely to be out against the Cowboys. As you've already seen, he didn't participate in practice today. And then Cornelius Lucas may not be as obvious as Andrew Wiley, but I still don't think it's likely that he plays. And so it's quite likely that Trent Scott is your starting right tackle versus the Cowboys. And as far as Maximilian goes, I don't see him touching the field versus the Cowboys unless we sit absolutely everybody. And even then, I'm still worried about even throwing Marcus Mariota out there with that guy. If you're throwing Maximilian, the guy that we just signed at defensive tackle, onto the field, you're not even playing Marcus Mariota. You're going out there with the third string quarterback. You're not about to throw Marcus Mariota out there with that guy. I'm that worried about him at right tackle. I know Marcus Mariota is not our starting quarterback, but even as a second stringer, it's not worth it to throw him out there with that guy, man. He is not ready at all right now. I'm going to keep it a thou out with y'all. I'm 99% sure that right now he's just a body to practice against because we have so many offensive linemen that are already hurt. But I'm willing to bet big money that he does not see the field versus the Cowboys, nor do I see him seeing the field at any point in time this season. I mean, I feel like this is more so a situation where we're throwing him onto the roster right now to get a good look at him in practices while we still have a season to play, postseason and all of that, and then we'll see if we can get anything out of him 2025 or beyond. But even if we went to the Super Bowl this season and we had several tackles hurt, I still don't see him getting any playing time. I just don't see any scenario where he plays until after, where we even see him really do anything until the 2025 2025 all season once we get to OTAs or anything like that. And that's even if he sticks around that long. But just to let you know, he does have experience so far as practice goes in executing zone run concepts, and that's something Cliff Kingsbury likes to do a lot. So we'll see. And then also with his size and his length, he also has the versatility to potentially learn even power run schemes, zone run schemes, gap run schemes, all of that type of stuff. He has the athleticism to potentially even be a puller as well. So this is just like a ball of clay that you can potentially maybe mold into a pretty good offensive tackle for you. But I'm not expecting that to be anytime soon. I'm not even expecting him to be playable even in 2025. This is somebody maybe in 2026 something happens, something clicks, but I'm not expecting anything soon, just to be completely transparent with y'all. But this is a big offensive lineman with a lot of tools and a lot of potential. This is a high ceiling, low risk guy that we just signed to the practice squad. We'll check back in on him in April maybe, or something like that. Maybe even later than that, May or June or something like that. But until then, this is somebody you probably shouldn't even remember is on the roster. And before we move on to the second half of this video, talking about how some NFL playoff teams are apparently afraid of the Washington Commanders right now, according to a lot of NFL analysts out there. This show is provided by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino, and if you're looking for a new sportsbook, it should be BetUS for sure. First of all, they have the fastest payouts in the industry, and I know y'all want y'all money fast because I know I do. And also right now, BetUS is offering you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits for up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. That's YOUTUBE 150. And they also have a fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, so it's really like, why not? And if you want to take a look at some bets that we can get into directly through their website, let's get to it. All right, y'all know me, man. Y'all know one of my favorite things to take a look at is the highest scoring game in a particular day. You know, with Sunday coming up, this is again specifically only Sunday, not anybody that's playing Thursday, Saturday, Monday, anything like that, just the Sunday games alone. We can see where the Commanders and Cowboys rank as far as the most likely teams to have the highest scoring game out of all of the games that are played on Sunday. You have the Vikings who have versus the Lions who have the highest odds, and I think that probably is your best bet there. But you also have the Panthers and Falcons, you have the Jaguars and Colts, you have the Saints versus the Buccaneers, and then you have us at plus 800 odds. Commanders versus Cowboys tied with the Saints versus Buccaneers. And I'm not gonna lie, I think we're a sneaky pick right here, because with the injuries that the Cowboys have, I think we're gonna try to light them up in that first half, and then I think we'll continue with that momentum in the second half. Because remember, when Marcus Mariota had to play against the Panthers, we still lit them boys up. And I feel like we'll have something similar where the first half, Jaden Daniels kills it. Terry McLaurin, we're trying to get him some contract incentives. We're trying to get him some records, some franchise records for the Commanders. So we're going to throw him the ball a lot, try to get him some touchdowns, some receptions, some big yardage. Jaden Daniels, you know, finish out the season with some elite stats. I think we're going to try to pack in 4 quarters worth of offense in the first half with just the starters alone, just in that first half. And then the second half, I think Marcus Mariota and that when the backups come out, I think they're going to come out there and continue that same momentum and kill it. So I do not be surprised. I don't think the Cowboys are going to score a lot of points, but I think the Commanders are going to score enough points for both teams, but we'll see. Again, that's plus 800 odds. So if you were willing to bet on that and put down $25, you can end up winning $200 by the end of Sunday night. After all of those games are done, if the Commanders versus Cowboys ends up being the highest scoring total game out of any other game that happens on Sunday, you could turn $25 into $200. But of course, I'm going to always scream at y'all to please, I'm begging y'all to gamble responsibly. And before we get to the second half of this video, again, I just got to remind y'all that BetUS is offering you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and a 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits for up to $2,000 with code YOUTUBE 150. And let's go ahead and get to the second half of this video. Hey man, some of these NFL teams are afraid of us right now, according to some NFL analysts. Let's get it. So shouts out to Scott Jennings of Hogs Haven for always collecting a lot of the power rankings that different websites, experts all around the internet, all around really the world. He basically goes and puts them all into one article, and the article is titled "The Washington Commanders Will Be a Tough Out in the Playoffs," unquote. So some NFL teams are a little worried about potentially being matched up against the Washington Commanders, and some people even like our chances of potentially even winning a playoff game or 2. Well, just to let you know, out of all of the power rankings that we're about to go through in the second half of this video, our highest position in the 7th out of the NFL out of 32 teams, but our lowest is 12th and our average is 8.6. So more teams are leaning towards that 7 than they are leaning towards that 12. Let's get to it. So number 7, you have Kendall from The Athletic. They said, what's next? Spoiling somebody's postseason. After watching Jaden Daniels throw for 227 yards and 3 touchdowns and run for 127 yards Sunday night to clinch a playoff spot, nobody wants to play Washington in the postseason right now. The Commanders, who can lock up the 6th seed on Sunday, aren't as good as the NFC's elites, but they're dangerous enough to beat almost anyone once. You know, basically he's saying, just a step away from what he's saying directly, I'm paraphrasing, he's basically trying to say that maybe if there were like a situation like the NBA where you have to win a best 4 out of 7, maybe the Commanders are less likely to win. But if it's just a winner-take-all one-game scenario, which it is for the NFL, a lot of people are afraid to have to deal with us, most notably Jaden Daniels' clutch gene right now. Continuing and finishing up what Kendall said, Washington has scored 30 or more points 7 times this season, including 3 times in the last 4 games, and is one of only 3 teams to score on more than half of its drives this season. Just to watch out for that. Then you have CBS Sports Prisco also has us ranked 7th. They said 2 weeks in a row with Jaden Daniels winning games with touchdown drives late. They will be a tough out in the playoffs. Then you have Sporting News Ire. They said Jaden Daniels makes the Commanders a dangerous surprise playoff team, one that can give a home division winner a lot of trouble because of a running game that rarely goes into slumps. Then another person that has us ranked 7th in the NFL, Fox Sports, is Hellman. They said Jaden Daniels seems to have that special mental makeup that allows him to not ever get flustered. And he just so happens to be one of the most athletically gifted quarterbacks in the league. The Commanders might be a flawed team overall, but that combination at quarterback makes them a dangerous bunch in the playoffs. Watch out. Then you have Pro Football Talk, also has us ranked 7th. They said, never mind the presidency, Jaden Daniels is already the king of DC. Then there's a few places that have us ranked 8th. NFL.com's Ed Home. They said there is a plethora of quality Coach of the Year candidates in what should be one of the more interesting decisions of award season. But if Dan Quinn isn't at least near the top, if not the clear number 1, we're doing something wrong. The hallmark of Quinn's career, nearly everywhere he's been, has been a Midas touch that has made nearly every team he's joined, whether as an assistant or head coach, better than it was before he arrived. Good point. The Commanders clearly are a vastly different franchise from just 1 year ago, from ownership to the front office and coaching staff on down to the bottom of the roster. And with Quinn, Jaden Daniels, your massive offensive rookie of the year favorite, and a vastly more complete depth chart, Washington enters the postseason as not only a terrific turnaround story, but also a very dangerous team to be taken seriously, overflowing with self-belief. The Commanders have nothing to lose, and they'll take on all corners. Who actually wants to face them now? That's literally how he ended it. What NFL team actually looks forward to playing the Washington Commanders with how they're feeling and playing right now? Then Yahoo Sports' Schwab said Jaden Daniels broke the NFL rookie rushing record for a quarterback on Sunday night. He also has the 3rd highest passer rating for a rookie ever, ahead of CJ Stroud's mark last season. And at this point, it would be a surprise if Jaden Daniels doesn't win an MVP award in his career at some point. Let's get it. Then you also have Johnson from Sportsnot. They said Jaden Daniels is simply incredible. The rookie delivered another MVP caliber performance on the national stage, with the latest insane showing punching the Washington Commanders' ticket to the playoffs. Washington is even in position to take the NFC's number 6 seed for the wild card matchup versus the Los Angeles Rams or Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With the level Daniels is playing at, the Commanders have a legitimate shot at making it to the divisional round. Then you have Bleacher Report. They also have us ranked 8th. They always give an entire essay as to their explanation for where every team is. I mean, they write an entire article literally almost for every team the way that they do it. But the last paragraph says Jaden Daniels is special. Most importantly, he's dangerous. The Commanders are set to enter the postseason for the first time in 4 seasons, mainly due to the play of the future NFL Rookie of the Year. Daniels has been calm late in games to help the Commanders escape with victories. He's dealing from clean pockets. He's also a historically good running quarterback, setting the league's rookie rushing record for the position after Sunday's 127-yard effort. Daniels can and will make mistakes. He'll make up for them as well, which makes the Commanders a difficult opponent once the playoffs begin. Then Sharp Football Analysis also has us ranked 8th as well. Now moving on to the people that have us ranked 9th. You have ESPN. And of course, this is always from the point of view of the beat writer responsible for that team. So it comes from John Com. That's why it's not really worth writing, because it's not like an outside source looking at the Commanders. It's coming from John Com speaking on behalf of what the Commanders have going on right now. Then you have Sports Illustrated's Or. They said probably the most devastating part of the Jayden Daniels experience is that you cannot get him off the field on critical downs. In a huge game against the Atlanta Falcons, Daniels was 9 of 12 and picked up 10 first downs and threw 3 touchdowns on either third or fourth down. That is absolutely brutal. And to his point, that is really dangerous for the playoffs. I can understand why some people do not want to deal with us right now. Then you have Lee from The Ringer. They said, I don't believe in quarterback wins, but I do believe in winning plays. Rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels makes them in spades, and he's done so with his legs rather than his arm in the past 2 weeks. His 127 yards rushing on 16 carries forced Atlanta's defense to respect him on the ground on Sunday. And I thought his patience and willingness to take underneath throws kept this offense on schedule in the second half long enough for his legs to be the deciding factor. Good point. Not only is Daniels the offensive rookie of the year, but you can also argue that he's been more impactful as a singular force than Texans quarterback CJ Stroud was in 2023. I agree, because he's been asked to do the heavy lifting as both a runner and passer. We deserve to see the NFL's most dynamic athletes in the postseason, and I can't wait to watch what he tries under the brightest lights. Then you have Pro Football Network's Kennedy. Not only do they have us ranked 9th in the NFL, but they also point out the fact that our offense is ranked 5th, our defense is ranked 19th, our special team is ranked 7th, and then our SOS rank is 31st, which is strength of schedule, so they feel like we haven't necessarily played anybody. Then Dunleavy from New York Post also has us ranked 9th. Then Walter Football also has us ranked 9th. They said the Redskins won to clinch a playoff spot, but there has to be some concern with the offensive line injuries they suffered in the victory over Atlanta, and that's a fair concern. We'll definitely keep y'all updated on that leading up to the Cowboys game and going into the playoffs. The Number Fire also has us ranked 9th. Then out of the people that have us ranked 10th, you have Davis from USA Today, and you also have The Score. Then OddsShark has us ranked 11th, and then Team Rankings has us ranked 12th, and that is the lowest that we are as far as all of the power rankings. Again, the highest we are is 7th, the lowest is 12th, and then we average an 8.6 out of all of these power ranking placements around anywhere that you can dig up. Also, our Super Bowl winning odds before we beat the Falcons was plus 4,000. Now, after beating the Falcons, is plus 3,500. And that's still pretty slim odds. But hey, it's only increasing. Jayden Daniels, let's do it. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff on that like button, stiff on the subscription button, and stiff on the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. If you made it this far in the video, shouts out to you. Oh, I almost forgot the trivia. Again, my grandma gave me a calendar, a burgundy and gold calendar. So here's the trivia for the end of the video. I should have asked the question at the beginning and then gave you the answer at the end, but that's my fault. I almost forgot. The trivia for January 1st, 2025. New Year. Happy New Year's to everybody. On this date in 1984, who rushed for 119 yards and 3 touchdowns as Washington set franchise postseason records for points and margin of victory during a 51-7 thrashing of the visiting Los Angeles Rams in an NFC divisional playoff game in the 83 season? And hey, man, I'm hoping that's some foreshadowing to how we may do the Los Angeles Rams in this upcoming wild card round a couple of weeks down the road. And just to let you know, the answer is, of course, John Riggins. You know what I'm saying? We already knew that. By the time I said back in 1984, 119 yards and 3 touchdowns rushing for the Washington Redskins, you already knew it was more than likely going to be John Riggins anyway. But yeah, man, that's your trivia right there as well. Make sure you do not leave this video without leaving a like. I really appreciate y'all. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about the offensive tackle that we signed to the practice squad. Do you feel like he has any chance to play for us, or to even be a playable player to where you can even throw him out there on the field and even hope that Jayden Daniels doesn't get obliterated by the opposing defensive line? Do you feel like he could turn into any type of playable player before even the 2025 season or even the 2026 season? Let me know how you feel about Austin Ekeler coming back healthy. Let me know how you feel about our injury report with all of the injuries and do not participate. Do you feel like the Cowboys even have a chance against us with all of the injuries that they have? And also let me know how you feel about how everybody's feeling about the Washington Commanders, where we're that team where nobody wants to play us right now. Let me know if you agree with those thoughts from a lot of those power rankings from around the national media and things like that. And without further ado, I really appreciate y'all. And of course, before we go, remember that this video was sponsored by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. And please make sure, if you don't do nothing else, please make sure you gamble responsibly. Please do that one. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Leave a like on the way out. I'm out.